is a presentation of KSL Sports. Hello, Cougar Nation.
Handoff middle. First down. Touchdown. And listen to the Cougar Nation.
Every Monday night, we break down the Cougars' last game and look ahead to next week. Cougar Nation, brought to you by Central Bank. Here's BYU insider Mitch Harper and Matt Baiamonte on Utah's legacy home of the Cougars, KSL News Radio.
Good evening, Cougar Nation. Coming to you live from Broadcast House in Salt Lake City, just down the street from the site of BYU's epic win at Rice-Eccles Stadium, 22-21. Cougs are 9-0, and they get it done in Salt Lake for the first time since 2006. We're going to be breaking this game down throughout the next hour and unpacking every angle that you need to know. And also, we want to hear from you, 801-575-8255. Share with us your thoughts on the game. Was it a hold? Was it not? How do you feel after this game? Let's cover it all over the next hour, 801-575-8255. Load up the phone lines and share your excitement on Cougar Nation. Joining me, Matt Baiamonte. We hold it down every single week here on Cougar Nation. Matt, how you feeling?
I feel fantastic, Mitch. How could you not feel excellent after what transpired in that fourth quarter against Utah? Anytime you get a win, it's been 18 years, Mitch. 18 years since they had won up at Rice-Eccles Stadium, so there's no other word to describe how all of Cougar Nation is feeling tonight other than fantastic.
Cougs are undefeated, 9-0. Let's unpack all of it here in the takeaways.
Cougar Nation takeaways. Mitch and Matt analyze BYU's last week of play and what it means for the next week.
Man, that was just an epic game. It comes down to the wire. Will Farron boots a 44-yard field goal to give BYU the 22-21 victory. I got to say, Matt, I was down at field level when that happened, and that final drive for Jake Retzloff and crew, the crowd noise was deafening. It was loud, and to think that BYU escaped that drive or at that stadium with a win in so many stretches, it felt like it just wasn't BYU's night, and somehow they get it done. So for you, Matt, what was takeaway number one that stands out to you?
The resilience of this team, Mitch, is so impressive. And I love that you bring up that noise. I wasn't sure how this Utah team was going to play. The 4-game losing streak, which is now a 5-game losing streak, and with the new dynamics in college football, you just wondered how much would they get up for this. I got to give them credit, man. They played a really good football game defensively. They were outstanding. They were every bit as good as they are ranked in the statistical categories. And yet, BYU finds a way. And it was a team effort of resilience. But every single group and even some positions overcame adversity and found a way to win. Defensively, that second quarter, that was bad BYU defense. Then you look at the third quarter, Mitch. This is a phenomenal snapshot of just how resilient this defense was. Utah had 6 drives in the second half. Listen to the starting field position on these drives. Utes 38, Utes 34, BYU 39, Utes 41, Utes 47, Utes 44. They had unbelievable field position, Mitch. They get no points. They barely moved the ball. They never had more than 4 plays on any of those 6 drives in the second half where they were in such an advantageous part of the field. Amazing resilience from the defense. And Jake was getting thrown around, Mitch. He got beat up. I think there's some fans out there who look at that stat line and say, not a great game from Jake. Could he have played better? Sure. But the defense was so good, and yet he finds a way to complete a pass to Jace Roberts, finds a way to get it to Darius Lassiter, moves them into field goal range. What resilience. What else can you say, Mitch?
Here's Jake Retzloff and what he said on the 2-minute offense.
In 2-minute drill, you talk to a lot of people that first down is the catalyst. And so that is a key thing to get. And once we got it, however we get it, we started rolling, and so it was fun.
They started rolling. I guess you could say that holding gave them the first down of that final drive. And, of course, it's well documented now what Utah AD Mark Harlan said. This was him after the game, who he was not happy about how it played out.
12 years, this game was absolutely stolen from us. We were excited about being in the Big 12, but tonight I am not. We won this game. Someone else stole it from us. Very disappointed. I will talk to the commissioner. This was not fair to our team. I'm disgusted by the professionalism of the officiating crew tonight. Thank you.
You know, Utah still had a chance to stop BYU after that holding call, and you can debate whether or not that call should have been made. I understand the thought of was it a little bit of a gray area? The referee who threw the flag, was he the right guy to throw that? I understand all of it, but ultimately it was a hold when you do watch the footage and break it down. But Utah still had a chance to stop BYU. BYU was only on their own 19-yard line, and BYU was struggling. I mean, they were struggling on that drive, and Utah still had a chance to stop them. And credit to Jake Retzloff and this team to connect with BYU through the air and move downfield and have success, and ultimately put Will Ferrin in a spot where he can make that game-winning field goal.
They had to go 55 yards, Mitch, after the holding call. There was plenty of opportunities for that Utah defense to get off the field. And you can point to earlier in the game, too. I just sort of referenced this with the 6 Ute drives where their worst field position was their own 34. They started a drive mere 4 yards away from field goal range, and they punted on that drive. They didn't get it done offensively in the second half, and that's where they should be frustrated, is that they had ample opportunities to put this game away, and they could not do that. And I'm not a rules expert, Mitch. I do agree with you. I thought it was a hold. I've loved what Terry McCauley's been saying on the social media platforms, a former NFL official and now a rules analyst for NBC. He said he went back and looked at the entire game, every single pass play in the All-22. He says, and look, he's a former official. This is not my opinion. This is his. He says nothing even remotely close to defensive holding occurred against either team until that penalty that was called on 4th and 10. He's a lot more credible than me, and I thought it was a hold. It was a tough call, but I thought it was the right call.
Texter 8619, I think it's bull crap, that's their words, that they're saying that it was stolen from them. The hold was freaking obvious to everybody. Plus, there was a phantom face mask on BYU, and Kalani didn't do anything about it, so it's just bull. Kalani did get fired up with the refs about the face mask call. He was livid, and ultimately he understood, even acknowledged today that the ref laid out to him, hey, from my vantage point, it looked like a face mask. It clearly wasn't, but you can understand from that vantage point. So
right.
I think for takeaway number 2, for me, that BYU-Utah games are always an ugly viewing experience. Why do these games never play clean? They're never, operating at a high level? Because BYU, if they're playing at its best, they should have taken care of business and mopped the floor of Utah. Utah's not a good football team this year. They showed up defensively. They got good personnel on the defensive front, and those defensive linemen were healthy and ready. Keanu Tanavasa, once a BYU recruit, he was really good, number 57. Connor O'Toole, Junior Tafuna. I mean, that's a good defensive line, and they're talented. But Utah's offense is not good. And credit to BYU's defense for tightening up and allowing 0 points in the second half. But, man, BYU-Utah games, man, they're just always an ugly viewing experience. That's what I come away with.
I did not honestly give the emotions of this rivalry game enough credit coming into this. BYU was uncharacteristic in that first quarter. You could tell that they were nervous. The jitters were there. Multiple false start penalties. This is just an incredibly emotional game, and I think I learned a valuable lesson. Even though beforehand I felt like I knew it, Mitch, I just wondered if it would change with NIL and transfer portal and all the differences in college football these days, because it's a drastically different football game than it was before the pandemic. It's changed a lot, and I just wondered what kind of effect that would have. I was dead wrong. It had no effect at all. This is just an incredibly emotional game. It means so much to so many people. It's always a hostile environment. I think this was a great win. I've heard from some BYU fans, Mitch, I'm curious what you think of this, that they're disappointed in the win. They feel like we should drop in the rankings. We're not that good of a football team. I'm like, whoa. Hold up here. You haven't won up there in 18 years. You find a way to get a win against your rival? That is an impressive win, although it's It's fair to say they did not play their best football game. They were horrible on third down. Jake was sub 50% completion percentage. They couldn't really sustain anything for most of the night. But you got to win in a hostile environment. Nothing will be as hostile as it was Saturday night the rest of the season for BYU, and they passed that test. That's going to count for something.
It does count for something, and I think BYU should move up in the rankings. But, yeah, I don't come away feeling like BYU had a great offensive game plan. I thought the play calling in the first half was subpar at best. And, there were stretches of the game where BYU was not the more physical football team. The offensive line struggled. There were some injuries there along that offensive front. The absence of Braden Keim will, I think, be something that will be a huge storyline moving forward for BYU. Players got banged up in that game. It was not a great performance, but you just, in those situations in a rivalry game, you just want to find a way to get it done at all costs. Tonight's show, Cougar Nation, is sponsored by Central Bank, serving Utah County for over 133 years with trusted service, modern technology, and personalized care. Central Bank, proud sponsors of Cougar Nation. We're taking a break. On the other side, we'll get some helmet stickers here on Cougar Nation. We'll read more of your texts and phone calls, 801-575-8255, right here on KSL News Radio.